Okay, good to go.
Thank you. Good evening everyone and welcome to the meeting of Bexhill Town Council's Asset Transfer Committee. Today is Wednesday the 13th of March and I will start the meeting by item number 1, public participation. Is there any member of the public here that wants to talk? No? Right, okay, thank you. So on that basis I will go to item number 2, apologies for absence. Have we any apologies, please?
Yes, Councillor Hussain and Councillor Ruston, who have other engagements this evening.
Okay, thank you. Item 3, to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Have we any declarations from anyone here? No? Okay. So item 4, Chair's announcements. I haven't got anything to say about this. I've got things to say as the meeting goes on. So on to item 5, to approve the minutes of the meeting of 17th of January 2024, Appendix A. Can I have someone to propose these minutes as an accurate record of what went on that meeting, please? Somebody going to propose this? Councillor Goss? Okay. And can I have a show of hands from everyone here to confirm their approval before I sign these minutes? Right, that's unanimous. Okay, I'll sign those. Thank you very much. Thank you, that's done. Right, so now we go on to item 6, public conveniences. A, to note updates around the 3 subheadings for public conveniences. So the first subheading here is refurbishment, and the item underneath says to consider recommending to full council consultancy the email we've had from this company. So has everybody seen this email from this consultancy company? And has anyone got anything they want to say on it? Yes, Councillor Goss.
I wonder what we're getting for our £1,000, because basically they're going to give us the standard drawings out of the building regs and the BS, which are those. If you want them, I'll give them to you. I had expected them to do something like at least a sketch plan of what you could do and make it look reasonable or something like that, rather than just say, you know, well, we'll give you the drawings off the internet. And
absolutely, yes. And anyone else got anything they'd like to add? So just to summarise, I would say that I haven't had enough information from this email to convince me that they could do a good enough job for us. So I think the search should still remain on to get a consultancy company.
I don't know if it's possible to talk to some local architects or something who could knock up a sketch. And I haven't been here long enough to know any of the local architects.
No, I don't know what the procedure is here. I gather this was the only response we've had at the moment, Julie.
Okay, through you, Chair. So I was asked to find a specialist consultancy agency that deals with public toilets. I haven't approached anybody else, because I was asked to find specialist companies that just work with public toilets and developing them and making them into something sustainable, etc. So this is a specialist company that do that. There's very few of them, and these were the only ones that really were interested in our job. So if you want to change the specification, and instead of looking at a specialist toilet company, you just want to look at an architect, that's a different spec and that's a different tender to put out. So it's up to you.
Okay, well, I'd like to... Councillor Pym.
Can you just remind us what the specification was that we gave them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they might not have anticipated what we need. We might not have put forward our concerns, what we require.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the specification was on that. I know that we had an idea that we wanted 3 visions about how to deal with, say, the Devonshire Square toilets, for example. The first estimate would be to get it to acceptable standard, The second one would be to get it to a little bit more, and the third one would be to get it to really be a flagship loo.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether, am I correct?
Yeah, that's what, and that's what I asked,
That's what I thought.
and that's what they
and
said.
that's what we asked for. Yes.
In lieu of sort of how rare these people are that specialise in this particular field, rather than dismiss them out of the hand, it might be worth going back to them and saying, could you give us a little bit more further information based on this sort of criteria, and say, look, we would like a little bit more bang for our buck, so to speak. You know.
I don't know if it might be as well to think of something for yourself and then go to a local builder or something. I mean, basically, what they're offering, if you want to get a package for disabled loos, which is what they seem to be specialising in, well, you go to any builder's merchant and ask for a dock end pack, and you get it in a big box.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't anything to it. You know, architects do it all the time.
Yeah, I'd like to get this item deferred until the next meeting, so we can put our heads together or come up with a more substantial idea about how to proceed with this. Councillor Wilson.
There is another option, and the reason why they go down the disabled route is that you can then claim lots of grants because you're making toilets disabled, etc., etc. But the other option is if somehow we do further groundwork and go and look at other councils' toilets that have been recently refurbed, take photographs of them and say, this is what you could do, this is what you could do, and this is what you could do, and make the three decisions ourselves over what we want to do.
Yeah.
I think what they provided so far is just literally off the peg.
Yes.
Which wasn't what I was expecting. I was thinking, as we've said already, the three different specifications.
Exactly. Okay, so can I recommend that we defer this until the next meeting and come back with whatever information we can gather individually?
Well, I think Councillor Wilson has just put forward what could be a proposal, rather than defer it and then come back with that same sort of idea. We take that idea now and go back to them. Otherwise, we're going to be doing that in a couple of months' time, aren't we?
Right.
I tend to agree, Chair. If we defer it, we're just going to put off doing anything. And we are on a bit of a roll as a town council getting things done at the moment. And I'd like that momentum to carry on. But that will be... someone's got to go out and take some photographs and go and visit these toilets, which is a lot of legwork in advance of the next meeting, and present them in the format that's appropriate, which obviously councillors can't do that, which is then going to put more stresses on the clerk and her team. Unless we do take a little bit of a slight change from the original spec and say, could they do that for us?
Or would another option be to just get this, whatever essential works are done, carried out on the Devonshire Square toilets, and then look on the potential improvements as more of a long-term plan? Is that practical?
What are you looking at as the essential works?
Well, if it was down to myself, we've had the survey reports that were issued when we were first asked to discuss this, and just use that as a template.
What's the lease position? Because we don't own them, and you'd have to get the leaseholders or the freeholders' permission to do any work on it.
Yes, presumably once the lease comes through.
Yeah, I don't know what the lease position is at the moment, whether it's sorted or...
Well, I don't know. Sorry, Councillor Plim, did you want to say something?
I would be surprised if we did not have enough information already regarding the condition of the toilets, the layout of the toilets, photographs from the toilets. We seem to have accumulated so much massive information. So I don't think we need to take another round of a lot of time with our staff to try and collate further information. I believe it's all there. No doubt the clerk will be able to tell us whether she feels there's sufficient information there that we've already got, or whether more information is needed.
Yeah, can I ask Julie?
A couple of things really. So the consultant that's quoted you is going to give you full guidance on all of what they think should be done. So if we start, we think we've got to think about that specification. So when you're going away thinking about this, an architect will draw up a design, but they may not be able to give you advice on the accessibility and the specialism of public conveniences. Yeah, they're an architect that draw a design. That's why you asked me to get a quote from a company that specialise in guidance for public toilets, which must all be accessible.
Yes.
So focusing on accessibility is absolutely right and normal for when you're dealing with public conveniences, because they must be accessible to the public. So I'd really urge you to think carefully about what you want in between, coming back to the next meeting, think carefully about what you want that consultant or designer or person to actually do for you, whether they're just designing a toilet or we don't have any guidance yet about what that should be inside. So we need to think about a professional approach to what do you put inside a public toilet, what do you need, what should it have. The second thing, I don't really, you're going into such a detail when at the moment I think what you're saying to me is if you want to know what repairs it needs, you're going to have somebody go round. That survey that Rother did some time ago was based on their surveyor. We don't know what their specification was to look at. So if you're saying what are the essential repairs, they went round and did a condition survey. That's different to going, right, what's broken in it, because there'll be a lot more things that are probably broken since anyway. So it's getting, if you want to know what the essential repairs are, then you're going to have to get someone to go round. But then we're going to, because it's the value, we're going to have to have 3 people to go round, or you get an independent person to go in there, give you a condition survey of where you are now, then you put that condition survey out to tender for repairs.
Yeah.
So then I think last time you said you thought about that, if I'm right, and you said you didn't want to spend all your money on bringing it up to the standard it should be.
Yeah.
And what you really wanted to do was say, let's start from scratch and put in, rather than spend a lot of money getting it back to where it was 10 years ago, save that money and make it into something accessible, new, easy to clean, anti-vandal. And that's how you got to this position for trying to find a consultant that will give you the advice to tell you what that spec might look like. Not a drawing, but what the actual spec might look like to make it. So we might end up going around in a circle again, back to putting it back to its original state. So I think what you need to start thinking about, think about what do you want to do? Do you want to put it back to its original state, or do you want to develop it?
Well, I'd say in response to that in the quote that they sent us, they've offered charge one price for a site visit and data collection, measurements, access audit, interior and exterior photos, and then another amount of money for a follow-up report with images of site and recommendations for development.
I'm not sure what why they want measurements if they can't do a sketch design. I'm used to dealing with architects, and normally when you get them to do something, the first thing they do is a sketch design. They do nice little sketches with some measurements, not a proper drawing or full spec or anything, but just a sketch to say, yeah, this is what it could look like, this is what you could do. It's very limited what you can do with those toilets. It's a long, narrow thing. You've got a bank of WCs, and you can't exactly turn it into a palace. You got the finishes, yes, but I don't think these people, they're aiming more on Part M than on turning it into a luxury toilet or something, I think. I don't know, it was just my feeling from what was said here, guidance on access and recommendations for suitable layout. Well, it's got a Part M toilet in the middle, and it's got standard toilets each side. It's more, there's going to be very little I think you can do with it other than finishes, what you tile it with and this sort of thing. And are we at that stage yet? Or is it sort of the building fabric, which we can't really touch until we've got the lease and spoken to the lease people?
Yeah, Councillor L.
So would it help in that case then to get these consultancy firm in, let them consult on what they offered, but for us to also add to that, we would like sketches and we would like some ideas on how to develop them into anti-vandal or easy to clean toilets, etc. Add those specifications to it.
Yeah, well, they're offering to do that as part of the service. Councillor Carroll.
I think Councillor Goss picked up on the lease issue. You could be spending a lot of money for Robert to put in the lease that you can't do that work. Simple as that.
It's Network Rail.
With back on that one.
This is Devonshire Square.
But regarding that, I think it's gone past repair. I think the state of the toilet, it needs to be like the repair talk. I think where that is, and I'd looked in there a few weeks ago just to have a look. But it will need a whole new revamp. But they need to be coming back with proper, as has been pointed out, not just shelf stuff. It needs to show us a plan of action, a way it's going to work, and where we're going to go in the future, and what we're left with regarding the anti-vandal thing, especially.
So, would you say that this? Do you consider this company could offer us what we require?
Any company can offer us it. We could find it local, but it's what they offer. Because then it's not actually 100% written down there what they're offering. They're just saying this is what we can do.
Councillor Plim.
I think we should go ahead with these people because they're a professional consultancy specialising in this particular field, and that's what we're desperately needing at the moment.
Guidance. Absolutely.
And so the initial step would be to employ these people to provide us that guidance, and then we can decide what we do.
Yeah. Councillor L.
I agree with Councillor Carroll about what they offer, but I think it's also down to us to specify what we want them to look into, what we want them to offer us. So, as I tried to previously explain, we go ahead with this consultancy firm, in my opinion, but we also add to that list a few other bits and pieces if that's what we want. If we want a sketch, we ask for a sketch. If we want anti-vandal, we ask for anti-vandal.
Yeah.
So if we can put together a short list today of what we want to add to that, and then we get that out to them and get it back. I mean, it's what we asked for. We haven't asked for it. We need to ask for it, and that's what we want.
So, are you suggesting that we accept this price and then tell them what more detail about what our requirements are, what we're looking for?
Even if we don't accept this price and we want to go forward with this company, is to just ask them what it would cost maybe to add the 3 or 4 things on our list that we want to add. Or we accept this for now, but with the recommendations of adding what we want to add to that list, and they can, at least make a start on the works and then get back to us with the extras.
Okay, so let's have a vote on this then. Are we ready? Oh, sorry, Councillor Wilson.
Sorry, can I just add 2 points? Let's not lose sight of the fact that Rother spent just over £12,000 on those toilets 4 years ago, and they're rotten again. So if we're not careful, we're just going to be throwing money at it. Every 3 to 4 years, it's going to cost us a lot of money to refurbish it. This is an opportunity to actually make it the flagship, because that's the most used toilet in Bexhill, I believe. And this is an opportunity to completely revamp it, because if we keep doing and refurbishing it, we're going to keep getting it destroyed. So this is an opportunity to look at how you get in there, what it looks like when you're in there, solar panels, all that you see in other toilets, to make it safe and usable for many, many years, rather than just fix what's there. Spend 20,000 on it now, and then in 4 years' time spend another 20,000, and it will be a bottomless pit of money if it's not done right. So I agree we should get these specialists in and be very concise with what we want, and it's about protecting the toilets so they're not vandalised and are more usable in the future. Is the way I look at it. And we can't do it, we don't know what we're talking about. These should do.
Right, Councillor Goss, did you want to say anything else?
I agree with that, but maybe we should ask them what they can do in terms of providing a vision of what it could look like. I mean, an architect does that. That's the whole point of an architect. But you just get the impression from this that they'll basically say, well, you've got a duck end toilet here and put new pans in, and that's it, sort of thing, rather than...
Not necessarily, because they've offered a site visit, data collection, measurements, everything else, and then a follow-up report with images of site and recommendations for development.
But they specified we will not supply drawings.
Because they're not architects, just to confirm. They're not architects, that's why they can't provide drawings.
Yeah.
They're a public toilet consultant.
If you want to look for something high-end, supersonic, whatever, I don't think they will have the vision. They'll tell you basically what you need, and they'll guide you into, you've got to have this, a dock end toilet, and you've got to have this, that, and maybe an ambulance toilet, and this sort of thing. But not with a vision of, yeah, we could do this, you know, put red and green tiles of corporate identity or something, or you know, whatever you want to, you're looking for. Architects tend to have a vision, and you know, they come up with good ideas.
So are you saying that we should go to an architect, a local architect, and
well,
ask
I
them to
think
look at
it's
it?
worth exploring. Yeah, I know the clerk is very busy. I just think you get more from what you're saying. You want to turn it into something showpiece, possibly, and I think you would get that from an architect, and any architect should know about Part M and this sort of thing. It's not, you know, nothing special. It's done every day in every building.
Right.
But sorry, again, Chair. Architects aren't specialists in toilets, so you've got to get the toilet people in first to tell you what you can do, and then we'll have to employ an architect to draw them up.
Right.
So it's a two-pronged approach, isn't it?
Okay, Councillor Plim.
This is the first step. The next step, as Councillor Wilson was pointing out there, is then go to the architect. This first step, we might look at it and say, actually, it's not exactly what we wanted, so we use elements of it and then go to an architect and go forward. Or we might find out that we can't do anything because Network Rail have said, no, you can't do that. As has been pointed out, £12,000 was spent on it several years ago. They are 100 years old, I believe, the building. Now, a little bit of blue sky thinking, you could have negotiations with Network Rail and totally redevelop that area.
Well, let's go with what's
So-
the decision we've got to make
But
now.
that is way
Yes.
out of what we're doing now.
So
The initial step would be to employ these people, get the basic information, and then decide where to go after that.
Right, can I have a show of hands to see what people think about that? Unless you had something to say, Councillor L.
Sorry. Could we do that, but also ask for a little bit more guidance? I understand what Councillor Goss is saying, that vision. It probably won't come from an architect yet, it will come from these people, the public toilet specialists, and they're going to help us understand the vision that we need to have. We don't quite know what we need yet, fully. We've got an understanding of what we need, but maybe we can put it to the vote and go ahead with this firm, but just ask for a little bit more information on how we can develop it a little bit further.
Okay, so you suggesting we suggest we accept their quote,
But ask for just a little bit more.
but ask for what more?
Ask for a little bit more guidance on what we can do to get to the specs that we need.
I think if we could ask if their guidance would include maybe a few sketch drawings or proposals on how you could turn it into something nice. I don't know, maybe guidance. Reading this, it was almost like guidance on how you put a dog end pack in. Anybody, a builder will do that for you, it's not a problem. It's standard. But you know, if they can offer a little more guidance on what you could actually do with it, I don't maybe some clarification on what their guidance can cover.
Well, shall we just see what they come back with and then work from there?
What you mean, appoint them or?
Yeah,
Yes, I think so. At least it's a starter, isn't it? I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've got to put my hand up. I'm not a builder. Had no experience in the building trade, so
I think you're exactly right. We see what they come back with, and then we work on what we. At the moment, we've got a blank.
yeah, we're just talking around
So
in circles.
let's see what comes back, and then we've got something to work on then.
Yeah, okay then. So can I have all in favour of accepting this and taking it a bit further? Can I have a show of hands, please? Are you putting your hand up, Councillor Carroll? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, unanimous. Okay, we'll go ahead with that then. Right, item 2 here, cleaning and maintenance specification. I'd like to say, how to consider how to address minor maintenance issues. So, please, can the clerk update us about what these minor maintenance issues are?
Through you, Chair, I think at a last meeting, the question was raised, but the cleaning contractor won't necessarily do like minor repairs or vandalism repairs. What do we do in that scenario? Well, that'll be up to you. So you can either tender for an approved contractor. That would be, I would be able to then book in for call-outs and things, or you could choose a list of contractors that we could alternate between, or we could just take it as it comes by emergencies. That would be for you to decide as a council. So maybe start having a think about how you want to approach repairs.
Well, we'd have to find out what the minor maintenance issues are first.
This is repairs. So this is say there's some vandalism. Say someone goes in and smashes the lights. I'm going to get a phone call that says the lights are all out in the toilet. So I need to know from the council whether, under the emergency powers, we just get a local contractor the best we can to do it, or do you go through a procurement process and appoint a chosen contractor? How do you want to do it?
Yeah, is this the right time to be making this decision before we've actually...
I don't know. I was asked to put it on the agenda from last time, so it's up to you.
Well, maybe we should bring it forward for the next time, because until we've got some obligations, we don't know what our obligations are going to be on the lease. So maybe we'll have a look at the draft lease and then take it a bit further.
I think we need to have this in place now, in order for to be ready when we do open the toilets or take ownership of the toilets. We need to have, and it's not major items like the clerk pointed out. It's the light bulb smashed. The cleaners will go in there and find that someone smashed the light bulb or broken a tap. Now, both of those could result in the toilets being closed down if we haven't got anyone to fix it straight away.
Right, yes.
So our staff need guidance as to what do they do when someone knocks on the door of the council office and says, by the way, your toilets are broken. We need to be able to pick up the phone and go, right, there's a procedure for this. We ring up, blah, 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 and they come and fix it.
Yep.
So we've got to decide now, is that the process we're going to have? Do we leave it to the clerk to decide herself who to call, or do we say put a procurement out there and have someone on call ready for us? So
Can I just ask a question? Have we got a company that we could ask to come and do that if we had an emergency situation like that? Because we've had things needed to be done in the hub, for example.
Yeah,
someone will come along and do it.
We've used a variety of local electricians, plumbers. Sometimes we use the Pelham, come and done some handiwork. So we've got a variety of people that we've called upon for small jobs, less than a couple of £100 that you don't need to procure for, which we've got that we know of.
So do you think that would be enough to cover our concerns about these minor repairs?
if that's working now, we're only talking one toilet at the moment. That should work when that toilet comes into our ownership.
Yeah.
And as we grow, then we start looking at a more robust structure to deal with the estate of toilets that would maybe have and other items.
Okay, Councillor L.
I was thinking along the same lines as well. If we've got someone that we're using on a regular basis for the hub, for example, if we can incorporate them into it. However, having one person or one contractor personally isn't a favourite of mine, to have all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, but I imagine from what Julie's just said that if we've got several companies that have addressed the problems and they're tried and trusted for minor issues, that could be the answer to this situation.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Well, if we've got 3 or 4 contractors there that we can have listed, that we know these are our 4 people or 5 people that we get through to, and we know it's them, then that seems quite reasonable.
Okay.
I think the RDC contract did have in there for minor maintenance, like replacement of light bulbs and things, being done by the people doing the cleaning. But what's the other thing I was going to raise? There are a few other queries on this specification. But in terms of doing that, the other thing is an emergency contact that they would need. If they go in there and somebody's kicked a connection off and it's flooding out with water, then they've got to be able to get hold of somebody in the council or whatever as an emergency contact.
Yeah. Have we got that facility?
It's not in here to do that or anything.
Have we got that facility?
It's me, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the moment, when something happens, people call me.
But do they get hold of you? Because you get so many calls that your phone thing, answer thing, is full up. You can't leave a message.
During 9 to 5, yes, it is, because you're all ringing me all day long, and I can't answer the phone because I'm in meetings, so I have to clear my voicemail when I get home. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're going to have a line on there, or if
well, that line will be diverted
service
to my phone.
Yeah, it will after office hours.
So whether it's a line in the office that goes to my phone or it goes to my phone, at the moment it goes to my phone.
So, should there be something else? I mean, should we have an emergency call-out contractor or something that we can rely on to take care of things like this? Or I'm just trying to think, if the thing is flooding, something like that, and they can't get hold of anybody, what are they supposed to do?
Have you got an answer to this, Councillor Wilson? Because I've got a clue.
I could have, yes.
Go on then.
I think we should tender for approved contractors and have a list, and on the toilet, the approved contractor for that month, 3 months, would have their contact details there, because it's unfair for the clerk, for all of her own personal time, to have her phone on just in case the toilet leaks. That's not acceptable. So I think we should go out and get and tender for approved contractors, because it's not just toilets, it's notice boards, it's allotments, and it's other things that may come down the line. So it's not just potentially 2 toilets. We should position it now and plan for the future, get the approved contractors in place, and then we can use them. It will cost us, but it will look after our clerk in her personal time.
And will we have to tender for that? Because these smaller companies couldn't do that.
Probably
We would have to.
hourly rate or something.
Yeah. They would have call-out charges, and we would have to pay for that call-out charge. That's how business works. So it will cost, but when you have contractors to support the business, that's what you have to do. You have to pay for it.
So we'll have to send out a specification for approved contractors.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't know what the specification is until we've decided.
So it can be detailed. These are our assets at the moment that we need potential call-outs on, blah, 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 and they will quote for, and then they would be investigated to make sure that they can cover off all those items, and then they will be on a list of approved contractors, and that gives then the clerk and her team the ability of going 1, 2, 3, etc., etc.
It's emergency response. If somebody's ripped the toilet off and it's flooding out, or they just go in and cap it off, stop it, and then you sort out from there what you do to repair it.
Right. Okay. Councillor Plim?
Yeah, I think Councillor Wilson's right there. We're relying far too much on our regular staff to do this, and the time has come, possibly now, or in a couple of months' time, to do exactly what was suggested. And so I think through a proposal, we instruct the clerk to draw up a specification for a emergency maintenance contract, and then go out for procurement once the specification is agreed by us.
Right, okay. That's a proposal?
Yes.
Okay.
Just want to make sure from Julie that that was the
How does
correct
that sound
wording.
to you?
for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we can't
Right.
manage this
Okay.
with the resources that we have right now, and we absolutely shouldn't. It was resolved to draw up a specification for an emergency maintenance response contract for the committee to consider at the next meeting. So I'll draft something, but only something for you to start with,
Yeah.
and then you can review it all and agree it at the next meeting, and then we'll pop it up for tender. Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's my proposal.
I'll second that, actually. Can I have a vote, show of hands for that? Right, that's unanimous. Thank you, Julie. Right, item number 3, procurement process. In view of the fact that we will be discussing items of a commercially sensitive nature, I intend to move this item to the end of this meeting, when we can discuss the cleaning tenders in a closed environment. So we'll be discussing that after this meeting's closed. So to go on to the next, item B, to consider next steps on business strategy. So we have an issue, obviously, with the freehold and leasehold situation of these facilities, and we've had discussions where previously we found 3 recent instances where district councils had successfully devolved the freeholds of their public conveniences to town councils. In response to this, during our second leaders' meeting, we requested Rother District Council to supply us with a copy of the legal advice which had been provided to them in order to present the rationale to the Asset Transfer Committee regarding the transfer of the freeholds to Bexhill Town Council. So what I'm saying is we have got the majority of our committee want to demand the freeholds. I'd like to see the other side of the argument, and I've asked them to supply it to us. And I've written to them today, and I've had a response just before I left, just before 5:30, from Rother District Council, and the response was, I enclose below an officer response which I call was discussed at the which was discussed at the meeting held on the 21st of January. On reflection, I have always felt that asset transfer process should perhaps have been service transfer process, as the issues from early on were somewhat confused regarding freehold status, as guided by Rother's legal team. Advised on several occasions in discussions. That said, matters are where they are, and I'm sure all involved would like to see a resolve, which is a collective responsibility of councils to provide facilities for residents within the current challenging financial position. I trust the response will assist you and your members to explore the options going forward. And he actually forwarded a response, a copy of an email which was sent to us earlier on in this thing to reinforce that it's a long-standing RDC policy to offer long-term leases on the transfer of assets, and saying basically what we've already heard. So there's been no actual legal advice in a piece of paper that I can read out to you. So I don't think I can go any further than that at this stage.
So they haven't moved.
It doesn't look as if they have, and this to me doesn't tell me anything. I would have liked to have seen a letter outlining the exact legal advice of the implications of giving us the freeholds, which would deter them from doing it. This is what I've been asking for since the 21st of January, and this is what's come through.
Reading between the lines on their financial situations and all the rest of it there, basically they want to throw it on us without giving us anything.
Yes, but I must temper that also with the fact that I've been sent some quite concerning emails recently from other councillors that have expressed, especially in view of Sidley and Little Common, people are getting very distressed by the fact they can't use these facilities, and I don't know what the answer is. Well, we seem to be in stalemate. Councillor Plim.
It's a policy decision by Rother District Council based on some legal advice that they have had, but it's a policy decision. Policy decisions are changed by elected representatives of that council, not by officers. So therefore, the people of this town need to put pressure on the Rother District councillors to change their policy based on what our policy is, and that's to negotiate freeholds.
Thank you.
And it's the will of the people. Either the district councillors are not going to respond to the will of the people after those people have contacted their district councillors and lobbied them, or they are. Simple as.
Okay. I will add as an addition to this, we're having a meeting with other councils at the end of this month, with Battle, Rye and other smaller parishes, and I think Rother District Council are going to be there. I'm not sure, but we'll be able to compare notes and see what the outcome of that is. And I don't think we can have a solution for that until we've been to that meeting and spoken with other parish councils and to see what their views are. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say. Sorry.
Could I just add to that, Chair? We have reached an impasse. I was at the meeting when we were told we would be provided with a legal view, which they haven't declared, because I doubt whether there was ever a legal view. It's their, as Councillor Plim says, their policy. We've had that conversation face to face and in writing. The time will come if local residents lobby district councillors and they can't change it. We as a town council will have to decide whether we believe that, as Rother are now calling them, that service is worthwhile for our residents, and whether our residents will cope with us increasing the precept to carry the cost of it. That time will come at some point if nothing ever changes. So we need to think about that in next year's precept, probably, because I can't see it changing. So if the town councillors in the wards that have toilets that are currently closed, if they want to lobby their people that they talk to get hold of the district councillors, and for some that's quite easy because it's the same person, then that's the only way to go, is to lobby the district councillors, because half of Rother district councillors are Bexhill.
Well, I've had an email today from a Rother councillor putting pressure on us to accept a lease. So, which I don't think is very democratic personally. Councillor Carroll.
I think I was included in the same email as yourself, and I found it very bullish, and I almost would go as far to say it had been preempted. Regarding the said email that you spoke about earlier, coming in today at that time it's not good enough. It's what they do. This was asked for months ago. I think as a collective around this table, we all want to get these toilets open, and it's that simple. And Rother have closed them, and it's that simple as well.
Yeah.
And they voted unanimously.
Unanimously.
That word as well. To keep to close the toilets. One thing that really set alarm bells regarding that, they are proclaiming that these toilets are in key locations for redevelopment, and for examples where can be devolved where parishes have sold the land off for cafes and even converted holiday lets. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous in my opinion, because they're the planning authority. How can we possibly do that if we did have the freeholds of things?
Literally are making up the rules as they go along to suit them. And I've said it before, they're running as a business, they're not running for Bexhill. They're not doing the best for the people of Bexhill, and they've got to change the ways. We're coming to the table with different ideas and different ways forward. They're not doing anything. Well,
from my personal point of view, I did ask at this 21st of January meeting for sight of this legal advice they've been given. It hasn't been come across, and this is the response I'm getting 2 minutes before I'm due to attend a meeting.
And I received the same as you. But what we need to remember is the residents of Bexhill have already paid for a poor service. The reason the toilets are in this state is because they have been served poorly by Rother District Council, and now Rother District Council want to pass the buck for the people of Bexhill to pick the bill up again. And it needs to be done properly, and they need to take some ownership of the problem.
Well, personally, I'd feel a lot more reassured if I'd have seen a letter from a solicitor saying this is our stance on it, and this is the advice we've given to Rother,
right, okay.
And that hasn't been forthcoming.
Can I just add to that apparently the legal issue tends to be verbal advice that Rother receive. And I don't know what that means, that they receive verbal advice on their legal issues. That makes no sense to me at all.
I don't understand that.
That's what I've got to say on it. That's where I'm a bit. I want the toilets open, but it's got to be right for the people.
Well, I do too, and I agree 100% with that. Okay.
Can I just note that they said this was a trial?
Yes. Till the end of March.
Yeah. So we don't know what they're going to do then. Summertime is coming. I did notice the ones at the west end of the
West Road are open. Yes.
Now.
And the museum ones, the park blues are open.
So yeah, I mean we don't know what's going to happen at the end of their trial, but I can't see what the trial is supposed to be achieving. Nobody's ever said what they hope to achieve from it. So I don't know where one's supposed to go from that, other than the fact that you say they're just trying to bully the thing. They have their policy, we have ours. I mean, as I say, there's no reason for it, it's just our policy.
Well, would it be something we could do to write to Rother and ask what their intentions are after this trial period is over at the end of March? and see what response we get from them.
Yeah, sure. And remember that their reasons for the non-transfer was best consideration. So they didn't just say it's just a policy decision and that's the end of it. Remember, they explained, and we've been through this quite a few times, that it's about the best consideration.
Yes, they have
principles, and just so you've got all the facts, just so that you know, it's not. They are using case law in order to do that. Now, we haven't seen that advice yet. We've asked for it to be written, and we haven't seen it. But they are using case law as to rely on for their policy. So it isn't that they've just decided it's the policy. They have provided. So I'm not defending them. I'm just trying to give you, so just so you know, because the concept of best consideration applies to all transfer of assets in local government. So,
with all due respect, we have asked to see that.
Yeah, and we can ask again.
And we can ask again and
well,
again.
This is here in writing. Best consideration. We have a duty to get the best value for any asset disposal, and this means we should look at the current use value as well as alternative use valuation. Toilets are a good example of where alternative use valuation is important. Toilets tend to be in key locations and ripe for redevelopment, and there are examples of where they have been devolved to parishes and then sold as cafes and even converted into holiday lets.
We went through all that with Lorna Ford when she was here and said, well, put a covenant on it.
Yes.
You're the planning authority anyway, you can say no.
I've said that, yeah.
It's a spurious argument.
Yeah,
I think what we're looking at here is best consideration for their corporate body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
They're not looking at best consideration for the people of Bexhill.
yes, the people that they're serving. Right, okay. All right, well, there's nothing more I can say on that issue. I'm sorry. So we'll just see what happens at this meeting at the end of the month and see whether tell us what their plans are after the end of this trial period. So going on to item 7, CCTV. C. To consider request from Normans Bay Residents Association regarding toilet management. I understand that they're dealing with RDC Direct now. It was agreed at our last meeting to keep this item on the agenda. Have there been any further updates, please?
Not at this stage, no.
Okay, right. Thank you. So now going on to item 7, CCTV, to receive any updates. I'd like to pass the observation. We were advised in the questions and answers document following on from the CCTV cameras report that RDC produced that Rother Community Safety Partnership can pay to upgrade existing cameras if the Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council believes they are required. I would like to propose that we request the clerk to investigate the possibility of our obtaining this payment. And can I have a seconder for this proposal? Because they've offered. Yep. Councillor Plim. Can I have a vote on that, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, that's unanimous.
So which payment are you talking about?
This payment was on the on this questions and answers document, which is here, CCTV report, and it was item 4. The Rother Community Safety Partnership can pay to upgrade existing cameras if the Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council believes they are all required.
So Rother Community Safety Partnership payment. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So
I did note that they're putting the new cameras in at the moment.
Right.
Around town today.
Well, if we've been offered money to recompense, then I think we should pursue that avenue. Thank you. So, right. Oh, the next bullet point I've got here, I understand that we've been requested to sign a contract with Chrome Vision, and may we see a copy of this contract before giving instructions for it to be signed. But I don't think it's come through yet, has it, the actual contract?
No, so any contract to be signed has to go before full council. So you won't sign anything until it's gone to full council.
Fine, right.
So I'm just waiting for a response for
I thought the Chrome Vision contract was with the police and we had to reimburse the police for the costs.
You will have a contract with the police for this this initiative. So I'm waiting to hear from the police about what you need to do next with regards to the contract. So they've come back to me and said that they can come and have a meeting with you, they can talk it through with you. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them how they're going to do that.
Right. So going on, are you happy with that?
Yeah, it was just that sounded like a contract directly with Chrome Vision.
Right.
The police are organising and doing it all,
yeah.
so how come we have a
Okay. Right. Well, until we know, my concern is that I need to know what the financial obligation is that we're signing up for. So that's why I raised that there. Item 8, bus shelters to receive any updates. I've put in an observation here and a question: were we supplied with a list of the bus stops which are at present serving Bexhill? And if so, could we see the list and see, and make our own observation about these, and maybe estimate if there was anything that desperately needed repairs, we can address it. Is that possible?
Okay, so what we're waiting for at the moment is we're waiting for news from Rother about the transfer. So we've had a list before, and I can forward you again the list of all of the bus shelters. And we need to then procure, once we understand from Rother when this transfer will take place, we need to procure for our own bus shelter maintenance and cleaning contract. And then if you want to assess them all for any improvements, then I suggest we're same place we are with the toilets really. We'd get somebody to go around and look at them,
right,
and assess, and then give you a condition survey, I suppose, and then you would decide from there what you'd like to do with it.
Okay, and another observation I've got here is I'd like to know when we can practically start to investigate the potential of receiving advertising revenue from the bus stops, but it's probably a bit premature to be talking about that at this juncture. But obviously I'm on the case, so if we can get any revenue from it, then we will do so. So item 9 on this agenda is date of next meeting, which is the 17th of April. So I'd like to just say this concludes the public section of this meeting, and now I must ask members of the public to leave. Thank you for attending this meeting, and please can the filming now stop. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council's Community Committee. The date today is Wednesday the 13th of March, and we'll get the agenda underway with item 1, public participation. I see there's some members of the public in here this evening. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak at this particular point? Yes, sir. State your name and yes, please, if you can get to the
Evening, Chair. I'm Councillor Paul Wilson, but I am speaking as a member of the public. I note on your agenda tonight that there is, under item 13, D-Day commemoration on the 6th of June, with 2 scenarios that are mentioned there. Is the Town Council aware that there is also a parade going along the seafront, being organised by an independent person? And I wonder if it's an opportunity to potentially work with this person or get them to take on some of these initiatives. I'm not sure whether you're aware. I've got a screenshot at home if you'd like me to send that to the clerk after the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak this evening? Okay, we will then move on to item 2, to receive apologies for absence. Have we got any apologies?
Yes, we've got Councillor Ruston, who's working, Councillor Carroll, who's just left, and Councillor Hussain is on this one. No, that's it.
Okay then. And all
and
accepted?
Councillor Timpey, she's away.
Oh, Councillor Timpey, yeah. All noted and received. Thank you very much. Item 3, declarations of interest. Have we got any declarations of interest? Councillor Winter.
Thank you, Chair. Member of Rother District Council, member of 18 Hours Advisory Committee, and a member of Bexhill Horse Show Committee.
Okay. All duly noted. Councillor Hampton.
Member of a Bexhill Carnival Committee.
Okay. All duly noted. Thank you very much. And next item on here is Chairman's announcements. I have no announcements to make at this particular point, so I'll go forward to item 5, which is to sign off the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 17th of January. Have I got your authorisation to sign those minutes off? Yep, thank you very much. Thank you. And now we approach item 6 on the agenda, which is to suspend standing orders and allow our guests this evening from 18 hours to address the committee. If you'd like to make your way to the microphone there.
We have prepared a slideshow for you, but we brought some handouts. I'm going to share them. I haven't got one each of the slides. And we have a short, we have a short video. It's about 2 minutes, I think. Yeah. I don't know whether we could try and show you from the laptop. We were hoping to project it. Would that be appropriate?
We probably won't all get round it, will we?
Okay.
We'll send it on so that you can.
That would be a good idea.
Own time. We'll send along the presentation as well, so you can have a look in your own time.
That'd be excellent. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. We can use this. Yeah.
So I'm Andy Curtis, Director of 18 Hours, and my colleague John Bishop. And we've asked particularly to come to the Community Committee. I know that you always allow us to come and talk about the work that we're doing in Bexhill, but we wanted to try and align better to what you're trying to achieve for the community. So we've targeted our presentation today to try and see, perhaps we could help work together, reach some of your targets, some of your ideas. So I'm just going to sort of talk very quickly through the first few slides. So when we share the slideshow with you, you'll see the short film. And just to let everybody know that we're a not-for-profit organisation. We're based in Bexhill. We've been in Bexhill for almost 4 years now. We're also the Development Education Centre for East Sussex teachers. So we provide global teacher training for teachers that want to apply. Mostly it's for the International Schools Award, and they'll come to us. And we have a free library for teachers, so they'll come and have training and then they can use the resources as well. So if we were to make any slight profit, which is very unlikely, but if we make any small profit, it goes into our library. So that's how we're set up. Last year we produced 38 events across 7 festivals. So we moved from festival to festival quite quickly. We reached almost 37,000 people in live audiences. We had 229 people volunteering with us. We're set up with the advisory board, so thank you, Councillor Winter, because he works with us on our advisory board. We're actually 75% female, 75% minority on the board, and we have an active network of schools, so we've got 13 schools that we regularly engage with and 6 schools that we engage with on a diversity book club project that we deliver. And that came out of a request from teachers who wanted to respond to Black Lives Matter. And over the last year, we've employed 510 artists. So we pay people to come and work with us. And those artists are working internationally quite often. Our global... Sorry, I've moved to education with that next slide for you. So just to say that the areas of global citizenship that we teach around are diversity and inclusion, peace and conflict. Sustainability can be general sustainability, community sustainability and environmental sustainability, social justice and interdependence. We have a research arm to what we do, so I'm also a university lecturer, so I'm able to tap into the latest research, and at the moment, we've got a chapter being published this month actually in measuring societal impacts for community festivals, so that's coming out as an academic text. We looked at measuring attitudinal change, so what it meant to participants of community festivals to be involved and what they were looking for actually from community festivals. And then for 2024, we've got some research that we're undertaking at the moment into an economic impact study of Bexhill After Dark. And we're looking at a wider societal impact study with some focus groups as well. So we've got some research that's really targeted around Bexhill at the moment. And then we've got some broader research that we're doing in partnership with Falmouth University, looking at haptic technology, which is providing access for deaf and disabled participants to access music. I'm going to move on quite quickly, actually. In Bexhill, I'm going to just talk about the 3 main events for Bexhill. So our next event for Bexhill will be a new festival in Sidley on Saturday, June the 13th. We're using St Leonard's Festival that we actually set up in 2006, and it's been very successful there, reaches quite large audiences. We're using that model and sistering that to Sidley and working with Heart of Sidley Partnership. So we did a pilot festival last summer that we had the mayor at Sea Magic.
Yes.
And now we're having a much larger festival this year. Then in September we'll bring Journey's Festival of Dance to Bexhill, and January again we'll look to bring Bexhill After Dark. There's some slides around, what we've been delivering in festivals, and just to reach. We've been looking at your 5-year strategy. I don't know how up to date it is, but we wanted to try and suggest where we might work with you. So we were looking at wellbeing and community. So all of our festivals have free outreach attached to them. So we work with local community groups. We work with schools, we work with members of the public to get them involved in what we're doing. We work with local performers as well as bringing in professional performers. So we try and keep wellbeing at the top of that agenda, I guess. We have our own environmental policy. So personally, I've been teaching global citizenship for almost 25 years now. So sustainability's always been on that agenda and always been important to us. So we try and think about our environmental impacts within the events that we deliver. We looked at, where you say about working with young people, we work with young people in a variety of ways. So obviously we have the workshops and we try and get groups involved and we try and give them a focus to deliver on within the event. We've also been bringing students into the town to work with us. So we've had University of East London students working on Bexhill After Dark and University of Brighton students as well. So they've been helping us with some of the research data and they've been helping us at events as well as a sort of opportunity for them. We try and invite the mayor, so we were talking about you've got a target to help the mayor get out and about, so there's a picture of the mayor at Sea Magic, that one. Working with governance and accountability, we work very diligently to bring people to Bexhill, and it's a bit early to release the findings of the full research, but from the research that we did with Bexhill After Dark in January, we've identified that 29% of the audiences were local, so we were bringing in 71% from outside of the town. Which surprised us, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
We thought it was a much more local audience, but if you were there with us on the night, you'll have seen how busy it was and how busy everywhere was actually. So we need to develop our planning again going forward to accommodate that. And some of the responses, early business responses, again, this isn't analysed fully and it hasn't made a report yet, but Wetherspoons reported a 22.8% increase in turnover. Trattoria Italiana, they had 170 bookings, so they squashed in extra bookings. They normally have 140, and they tell us they turned away over 100 people on top of that. Mini Berthas on the seafront ran out of chips, so they were so busy that they ran out. Anything else that I've missed on that? Maybe
I don't think so. I mean,
some of the footfall
stats really kind of speak for themselves.
Yeah. So we measured footfall on a Saturday evening at 5:30 the week before Bexhill After Dark, and then we measured footfall again on the night of After Dark to see how, what the increases were looking like. So at the Bexhill rail station, the week before, it was 227 people. I thought it was quite a lot, actually. It's quite a busy station on a Saturday evening. On the night of the festival, it was 956. Devonshire Square, regular, the week before, 244. On the night of the festival, 582. Channel View East, we targeted that area because of having the parade come through. On the week before the festival, it was 83. On the night of the festival, they're guessing about 1,700. They couldn't click them. There were so many people. So, like I said, we're bringing that into some sort of report that we'd like to share with you. We'll just share that electronically. We won't need to come back for your time again necessarily, but we will let you know how we get on with that. I'm just sort of almost on the last slide. So tourism and events, we, like I said, we were bringing in a lot of people from out of town. We were surprised how many people from out of town. And for this year, we tried using an empty shop space. So actually, it was too busy for us. We put 2 security guards on. It was very popular. It means that we'll rethink how we use those spaces next year, but it worked well as a show. We put a show in the window of Edinburgh Wool Mill, wasn't it? Yeah. So, we're interested in looking at, how we can bring empty shops to life. I guess, what drives the events that we do largely is regenerating towns, regenerating footfall, regenerating high streets, whether that be with a light festival or, an afternoon show as well. And then I think this is the final one. You were looking to look at accessibility and accessible areas, including mental health. And we have for several years, that picture that I've got in the presentation is 2018. So we've worked for a long time now with MenCap and Active Arts in Bexhill, working with young people. And those two artists there that we worked with, they did an 8-week training programme, and the young woman whose name I forget, I remember Josh, I can't remember, Ellie, I think it is, Ellie, she went on and got a job. You know, it was just amazing. That was a fantastic year for us, working with that group. I think that's everything. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So very exciting information there. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Well, I am hoping that it can be useful and that we can work together in partnership. Really.
We did look at some perceptions as well around people's thoughts of Bexhill. We'll be able to share some of that information later as well. It was really interesting to see people's perceptions coming from outside of the town, and really positive as well. So it'll be really nice to share that.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You might be relieved to know you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't feel obliged to.
I've just rushed over from Brighton actually, so I am going to go.
Yeah.
That's okay then.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll send lots of follow-up for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Resuming the meeting and resuming standing orders. Item 7 on the agenda is the 5-year strategy. And to note that the document is to be updated and a press release is being prepared and imminent. I'll move on then on the agenda to item 8, regalia, and to receive an update of the town criers. They are starting to get booked up on a lot of the events that we're taking part in this year, and one of which will be the D-Day event that is coming up, where a proclamation, I believe, has got to be made at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that's going to be a national proclamation, so our town crier will be taking part in that. I will just ask the clerk if there's any further information on town criers' activities.
So you have your annual town meeting this Saturday, and if you remember, if you were there last year, that our young town crier Alex did a cry, so he'll be doing that again this Saturday. And John, the town crier, will be hosting the event as your facilitator, so you'll see them on Saturday.
Excellent. Okay. I'll move on to item 9, notice boards. All the notice boards are now installed and in regular use. No doubt we will get to a point where we might sort of consider secondary notice boards in other locations that are sort of appropriate enough, but at the moment we'll see how they develop. Don't know if anyone's got any questions regarding notice board. Councillor L.
We had a problem with the maintenance of the initial notice boards, I believe. The person that was doing it, was there a change in that at all?
Just
through you, Chair.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so that person left. They've been replaced, and it's back in the schedule.
Brilliant.
So you'll start to see that take place when the weather changes. So it needs to be a bit drier before we can do it, but it's back in schedule.
Brilliant.
Okay. If I move on then to item 10. Note that the writing of the Bexhill-on-Sea civic history book is underway. I did see glimpses of this the other day when I popped into the council's office there, and the assistant clerk is doing great guns trying to sort of collate the information. And this is basically because the previous civic handbook is now about 20 years old, and so it's to update it not only to reflect the past 20 years but specifically to reflect our existence. Here's a brief resume of what's been put forward together. I'll pass it round, have a look at it, but we won't stop the meeting while you all look at it because there's a vast amount of information there. So if you're happy, I will then continue on to item 11, and no doubt that can be passed around as we're continuing the meeting. Item 11, Bexhill Carnival. Pictures being booked for our presence at the Carnival, and just a note that full council has made a decision to fund the Carnival, or fund the sponsorship to the Carnival for the next 3 years. So that's good news from everybody's point of view, I think that there's some security in the carnival. Any particular points to make on that? Okay. Item 12, Bexhill Day, 17th of August this year. Banners are being prepared, and permission from Rother District Council is being sought as to their locations. And they're basically working on the theme that the current mayor developed tail end of last year, I believe, with the banners along the front. Marvellous idea there, advertising, well, not advertising, but highlighting certain areas of Bexhill. So we hope to get them in place for the Bexhill Carnival, and hopefully have them in place for more than a couple of days, so we can sort of lead up to the Bexhill Day. Also to note that the people that attended the Health and Wellbeing Market stall holders have been contacted, and many of them are taking up the opportunity to also be part of Bexhill Day as well as some other organisations. Bexhill, the bandstand from the Bexhill Heritage Run, are holding all-day activities that day, so there's going to be plenty to do on Bexhill Day for everybody to be proud of where they live, and hopefully invite all their family and friends to come down and celebrate Bexhill. If there's no further any questions, I will go on to item 13. D-Day commemorations on the 6th of June. As I alluded to earlier on, the town crier and the mayor, I believe, is going to be proclaiming the day at 8 AM, as every other town will be doing exactly the same. National proclamation regarding that. There is a slight update on thinking regarding the Fish and Chip Day initiative, and we just basically need some ideas and some steer on this before we sort of finalise what we're doing. I don't know if anyone's got any ideas regarding that particular aspect of it. One of them we did sort of think about was that maybe not on the actual day itself, but I believe there's going to be a parade. There is a little bit of discussion as to when that parade's taking place, whether it's the 6th or the 8th, but we will work in conjunction with the British Legion with that, should it be this committee's wish to do so. And it's possible that we try and tie in a number of the fish and chip shops in the town centre to provide fish and chips for the veterans that are taking part in the parade. And so after they perform their parade on the seafront, we find a location where they can sit and enjoy fish and chips from a number of the fish and chip proprietors in the town, depending on whether this committee wishes to go ahead with that. Councillor Hampton.
How about a fish and chip competition between the shops? Maybe Bexhill's Bake Off or something equivalent, or Fry Off maybe, and see if people people can judge and see which fish and chip shop is voted best.
I think the spec that comes down from the National Association of Fish and Chips is to just celebrate fish and chips in general.
Oh, okay.
Rather than competition between the two. There were several that are in town. So I don't know whether that will fit in with it. Maybe that's something we can do another time. But I believe at the moment it is purely just to get fish and chip proprietors involved in the celebrations or commemorations for D-Day. Any other thoughts on that? Well, if I put that, what I said earlier on, as a proposal, that we liaise with the Royal British Legion that are taking part in the parade, and see whether we can provide fish and chips for their attendees once the locations are found as well. And instead of going to one particular shop and inundating them with an order, we sort of say to the, I think there's 5, 6, 7 fish and chip shops in central Bexhill, and we say to them that can you provide a certain amount of fish and chips at a specific time, and they all feel part of the event then. That way it ties in with the National Associations of Fish and Chips as well. But it does need a buy-in from us, as in financial buy-in to it. Would you like the clerk to look into that and work out the prices before we agree to that, or would you like to agree with it now? I don't know if we've got another committee meeting, have we?
No, this is the last one.
So it would need some sort of budget for this, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you've got quite a lot in the budget though, haven't you?
We don't want an open-ended budget.
No,
obviously.
let's see.
And obviously we don't want word to get round that we're going to give fish and chips to everybody, because we're not. It's purely veterans
How
that are
much would
taking
fish
up.
and chips be a portion? I don't eat them, so I don't know.
Councillor L.
I'm guessing between 12 and 15ish roughly.
Yeah.
Brilliant idea. I really like that. I'm happy to stand behind that and fund it if possible. What Councillor Hampton said was also a fantastic idea. If it's allowed, I understand that he said it may not be, but if we could look into it maybe. And it would be a nice thing to have something awarded by us as well to the fish and chip shops in Bexhill. So, you know, you've got the best fish and chips this year.
As well for
And it's something for them to work towards as well.
As a bounce off from this then, if your proposal is to develop a Bexhill Fish and Chip Award,
Yeah, no.
I like that.
if that's your proposal,
Okay,
and you're
let's do that.
seconding it, we'll put it to the committee then, and we'll see. So, take it you're proposing, you're seconding.
Thank
So
you.
let's debate it. Does anyone want to debate that idea, or shall I put it straight to the vote? Put it straight to the vote then. All those in favour? Well done, thank you very much. That's something that no doubt we will ask the clerk and the team to develop as we go forward. No dates in mind at the moment, but we'll see what happens. So, back to the actually event providing fish and chips for the veterans taking part in this parade. Do I have your agreement that we can go ahead with that? That's my proposal. Got a seconder?
Oh, so no, I just wanted to know roughly how much money do you think we're committing to, or is it going to be capped? Or
Councillor Hussain says that, Councillor Elsworth says 12 to 15.
Don't take my word for it, but yeah,
No.
probably I'm guessing roughly.
Does anybody know how much a portion of fish and chips would be?
Ooh, it depends, doesn't it, whether you have small portions or large. I very much doubt there'll be that many that want large
Well, you were
portions.
saying between 12 and 15, so why don't we go with 13.50 as a budget?
13.50, and then you look at how many participants. The chances are there probably only be about 30 to 40 participants. If you say 50 at the
50.
maximum,
That's 13.50.
so 50 at 13.50 is. Someone
800.
can do the maths.
So 30 at 13.50 would be something to get the
Would you like
calculator
a
out.
budget?
I've got it.
So £13.50 times 50,
so
that'll
800
be
and something.
877.50.
I think that's quite generous, to be
Is that
honest
right?
with you, because I think 13.50 is quite a generous.
Quite a generous figure anyway.
675. I don't know what happened there. That's
Well,
not right.
can we cap it
675.
at that,
675.
Can we
Okay.
cap it at that figure?
675.
Yeah. Okay. Is everybody happy with that? Okay. I'll just put that to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Would there be anything further regarding that information? that
No,
we
we'll
need?
get on with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Also to receive an update on Armed Forces events. I believe that this is something that is going to be taking place on the Saturday rather than the actual D-Day on the Thursday, but that's yet to be confirmed. And that's possibly where the fish and chip sort of issue will take place, will be on the Saturday when they have the parade. Okay, item 14, just to note that councillor training is being looked into, and there's an offer from WorkNest regarding that. That's all the information I have on that.
Yeah, I don't have any prices yet. So they're building a module plan, like we said, so you'll be able to log it. So rather than come to training sessions, you'll be able to log in and go through the training online and get a certificate. So once I've got a module plan and the price, I'll bring it back and we'll see if you like it.
Okay. 14B, to note autism awareness training is being ordered. It's particularly difficult to find specific autism training tailored to councils. and we are seeking advice from NALC, and they are working in partnership with the National Health Service to try and tailor-make something for councils. It would be probably quite unique to do this as a council ourselves, and no doubt NALC will pilot it with us and take it on to other councils around the country, should it be successful. So it's one to watch out for. That, I think, is quite an exciting training opportunity there. So I'll move on to item 15, British Legion events. There's going to be several parades on the 10th of November, Little Common as usual and the town centre as usual. We are still working with both British Legion clubs regarding those events, and meetings are soon to take place to start the plans as we go forward into through the summer. Item 16, community events. This is to receive an update on the Glyn Gap roundabout, because I believe there's some interesting information that Councillor Brailsford is about to pass on to us.
Well, can I make it an announcement from the town clerk, because she told me the information, so can I have it? Julie, can you just make the announcement about what's happened about Glyn Gap roundabout with Highways England?
I'll give you an update. Yeah, I can give you an update. Yeah. So I did send around, I believe. So Rotherham District Council. Remember, we're asking National Highways, because they own the roundabout, and they were asking what is possible to put on the roundabout, because we have to think about sight lines, because it's a trunk road and all that stuff. So they sent through some examples of what is possible and said it is possible. So we now know it's possible to put a statue of some sort onto the roundabout. So that's where Lynn had went through some designs previously. So in the previous council, was when we first started talking about this, we as a committee looked at some potential ideas, and I think if you want to explain what you've been developing, then maybe.
Do I? This is the culmination of my original vision exercise when I first met Julie, about what I'd like for Bexhill on this Glyn Gap roundabout. And we all know that Bexhill is the birthplace of British motor racing, and I would like to see a replica of the Serpollet on that Glyn Gap roundabout, but not just a traditional replication of the tubular climbing frame that's along East Parade. That serves its purpose and commemorates that, but I'd like it to be something along the lines of Battle roundabout. I've had a meeting with the previous mayor of Battle, and originally there were a few trees on that roundabout which he didn't think was appropriate, so he drew up this idea about getting a statue, a tubular statue, to commemorate the events at the Battle of Hastings, and we all know how or what that's transpired and what it looks like now and the impact it's had. And I mean, I think it's elevated the whole perception of Battle as it is. It gives it impact as soon as people see it, and I'd like to create something like that for Bexhill. So using the Serpollet idea, and this you probably all know what the Battle roundabout looks like. So in my vision, the Serpollet, the replication along East Parade, it serves its purpose. But I'd like something a lot more dramatic than that. I like the idea of a tubular monument, so people can see it's not going to be obstructing, but something, the Battle one is quite an emotive statue. It's saying something, it's alive, there's a scene there, and it creates an impression. So along those lines, I did create a rough idea of what I wanted, but it's so rough I don't show it. But I looked at lots of pictures of that actual race, and I saw a watercolour painting and it illustrated the winning car, the Serpollet, coming in. The driver was hunched up to the steering wheel in action. His passenger had his arm up in victory. So I imagine that being replicated in the same way, and then to put somebody commemorating the win with a flag, somebody dressed up as, say, a Victorian gentleman holding the flag pole with this flag flying, and then a sign saying Bexhill-on-Sea, birthplace of British motor racing. And that, I've got goosebumps thinking about it. I'm so enthusiastic about this. And to me, it's a culmination of one of my earliest aspirations. And I'm really excited. I'd like to recommend that we send out, have a competition with maybe Bexhill Sixth Form College or Wave Arts and get some ideas through, and have the judging of the winning piece of work, and then send out for tenders to see how much it's going to cost to replicate it, and then start costing and seeing how much we've got to find to get a grant. So, and as I say, I'm so keen because when I first mooted this, I did a lot of research. I know that this battle statue was assembled at night with a minimum disruption for traffic, and it's such a success, and I think that could be the start of a new future for Bexhill. It gives us an identity that no other town can match. It should give our residents a sense of civic pride to see that, and it's a great introduction to our town for people coming that way. So,
okay, brilliant. What further information or what further actions do you need this committee to do in order to further this idea? Because we know we've got permission from Highways to do something there. Mm-hmm. Have we got enough action points from the committee over previous meetings on this to go forward with this?
No, we don't have any action points. Okay. So basically what we were tasked to do originally was to keep working with Rother because it was their project. So Rother have now come back and said this is some examples of what you can do from National Highways, but they aren't able to fund it. So now it's over to you to say what do you want to do as a project, and then tell us what you'd like us to do.
Personally, as I say, we'll get a specification, for want of a better word, by sending it out like a competition to hopefully inspire people to come up with their ideas of how this should look, with the stipulation that it's a tubular model rather than a dense one. We don't want a big statue there which is going to be unwieldy and obstruct people's visions. But if we use the battle roundabout as an example of what we want our circulator to look like, and just see what the ideas come back as.
So knowing how slowly these things develop, it possibly best if you provide something.
Or get a timeline.
Get something bring something forward in which to work out a spec.
Yes.
We can then agree that as a committee.
Yeah.
From that spec, we can then develop something to be put forward. I would guess it'll possibly be during the Bexhill Day. We'll make a big thing of it then.
Absolutely.
And then we can sort of say, this is the competition for Bexhill Day to revamp that roundabout.
Would it be an idea to show the examples that we've got to people and see what they voted for, to see what they thought would be the best?
Well, have you got several examples already then?
Only my little scribble, which I could.
But that's what I mean. We need to get a spec that we need. If you're going to put
that's not clear enough for you to see, is it?
But if you're wanting to go out, you're talking about going out to a competition for schools and people first, or have you got something in mind that you wish to put forward?
Another thing that's just cropped up is that I've been invited to go along to Bexhill Sixth Form College to judge a competition myself, and I'd like to take an idea and propose it to their art students that they might like to come back with it. And I've also been told that there's a bit of interest from artists and wave art, so maybe I could go and see them and see if I could encourage some enthusiasm to get designs from them.
So would we want a spec first before we go and do that? Because otherwise you could end up with several different people with different ideas, or unless that's what we need, several different people with different ideas, and then bring them together.
Yeah, as I say, I spoke to the gentleman who was mayor of Battle at that time, and he made a competition, and I think he came back with about 20 entries, and he decided which was the best one.
Okay.
But I mean, we've got to presumably start advertising this and to go forward from there. I mean, I've never done anything like this before. I've just got
No.
so much enthusiasm.
What would be your guidance on this?
What are we advertising?
Bexhill.
No, so you said you want a specification and you want to advertise it. So I don't know if you want to do that first.
Sorry, Councillor Hill.
I mean, if you've already got this idea of the circulator with the winner in it and the hand raised, will they be able to depict that in many different types of forms, or will it just be...
That could,
because a picture won't really make much difference when it comes to a tubular. If you know what you want there, then it's going to be the artist that's going to make it that will get the idea of how to build that tubular structure.
Yeah.
Unless we're putting out for different ideas of what they would like to see on the roundabout that depicts Bexhill. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that's a fantastic idea as it is.
What, as it is?
Not that
the theory of we could agree that as the spec.
Do you want
and
to
say,
pass that around then?
Of course.
We could agree that as a spec and then go to people and
That
say,
took me
look,
about 10 minutes to scribble out, and I could actually improve on it.
I mean, I'd be happy to agree to that as the idea of what we want to see on the roundabout, unless anybody else has got any other ideas.
yeah, what does everybody feel?
I think Councillor Hampton needs to see it.
So are you asking the schools and colleges to redesign that design?
Or just
Or
say
are you
that's one interpretation of to commemorate this event of this the celebration of the winning of this by the Serpollet car, because that's quite an iconic shape, and it would easily translate into a tubular statue.
You see, that's the particular spec that people are going to need. Artists are going to need the idea that it's a tubular effect that you want,
Yes.
and therefore some artists will be constricted by that and go, well, it's not for me,
Yeah.
so they won't be involved in it. I should think the people down at the Wainwright Road, the metal worker there, would be quite interested in looking at that. So that's what we need to sort of get round.
Yeah.
What are we presenting to people to put together? Otherwise you could end up with paintings, sculptures, all sorts of things.
Yeah, as I say, I want to replicate this sort of thing to give us an identity for Bexhill on that roundabout.
Well, I believe keeping originality in something like this is really important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, we're depicting the history of Bexhill.
Yes.
That picture that you see that idea from sounds like the perfect picture to have replicated in a tubular structure itself.
We could just go with that.
When I'm saying that picture, not necessarily your drawing, but the original picture that you saw that you tried to replicate in that drawing.
That was a watercolour, and all I could see was the outline of it, and I wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, no artist is going to get that particularly perfect like that.
Yeah.
They're going to put their own twist on it. But that's the basis of what we I think we're all agreed. That's what we'd like. A tubular structure depicting that scene.
Really?
Well,
if
everyone's agreed with that, that's what we go out with to say to people, we'd like you to produce this.
I mean, I believe
and we see who comes forward.
I believe there are black and white pictures of the car, and I think it's extremely important to have that shape.
Yeah.
But if that's the scene that you've seen,
it was the shape and the posture of those people that appealed to me. Because it looks triumphant, it looks exciting, and there's movement in it.
Then I believe we go forward with that idea and vote on that.
Okay. Is that enough to go forward with, you think?
So let me make sure I get this absolutely right. So you want us to write a specification to give to artists to draw up a tubular design of that, yeah? That's what you want to do first. Is that right? So where does the college and school come into it? Or is that, we're not doing that now?
Yeah.
Are we just doing artists designing?
Bexhill College has got an art department, I don't know what you call it, and maybe they would be quite suitably tasked to do something
along those lines.
And keep those lines and keep it local.
Yeah, and like I said, down in Wainwright Road, you got the I think it's the Works. Is it called the Works?
I don't know.
Along there, the artist collaboration down there. They've got the big railway carriage there, haven't they?
Oh, that one, yes. That's Beeching Road.
And there's a metal worker works from there. He's
Would it be a good idea to get a picture of this watercolour just so they can see what, get the feeling from it themselves and depict what they're going to
Yeah, I don't see why
from
not.
it? Or
I don't see why not.
Well, so we could put that in the spec. So we could
Yeah.
put in the spec the picture, what we're aiming for. So a couple of questions. Who's the specification? Is it just going out to tender, or are you picking just the college and just the works, or are you giving me a list of people to give it
throwing
to?
ideas out into it.
I think it should go out to tender, but I think it should also Bexhill College should be invited. Because they have got quite a strong art department there.
We'll put it out there because we don't know who's going to come back. Just put it out there.
We don't know.
Okay, so are we saying it's a design and build project? So we're not putting a price on it. We're saying, are we just saying design it, or are we saying make it? Where are we going with the actual? Where are we going with it? Are we just asking for them to design it so that we then go to a manufacturer for them to make it?
A sculpture or somebody. I don't think.
Or are you going to a sculpture, like to a place that's going to make it?
Yeah, I mean, I know.
I think that's the next step. The first step is.
So this
to
is
get-
just a
yeah.
design.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we're going to put out a specification to anyone that wants to submit a design. In that specification, we'll put the national highways requirements,
Yeah.
so we don't get designs we can't use.
Or we could put design and/or design and build. So then we've got all options covered. It's going to save you time when it comes to find out who can actually build it, because you'll already know.
I also believe the gentleman that built the one in Bath was quite local, was he not?
He was in Robertsbridge, I think. Guy Portelli, I think his name was.
So the word will get round locally, but that takes time. And so this might be something that will not get fulfilled this year, or maybe not even next year, because these sort of things take time.
I know, it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
It's
Would
taken
we-
me since.
But we've got it going.
Would we put a deadline on this design?
Let's just get it out there first of all, I think, because our next meeting's not going to be until June. Is it June?
Yeah, July.
And so we'll see the feedback from that, and we'll see what the uptake is from it, and then we're spoke about sort of pushing it through on Bexhill Day as well. So that might be something that we wait until August and then say, look, this is when we're going to go out with it to everybody. So maybe in June we have some more ideas about it and see how we can develop that embryonic idea.
Yeah.
And then during August we then push that through as a public awareness on it.
It's without wanting to tread on any toes, would it interfere with protocol if the clerk and myself worked on this together to try and push it forward? Or am I treading on toes? I don't want to do that.
Let's establish what we're doing first. So if I can understand what exactly needs to be done and by when, then I can understand what operationally we need to do this. Because bear in mind, coming up, we've got year end, we've got the annual town meeting, then we've got the annual statutory meeting, we've got a whole load of audits, so we're coming up to our audit time. I can't deliver that for June with the current resources that we've got.
Right.
So let's think about. So the project you're saying is you want to draw up a specification for design and build, sculpture to go onto the roundabout that meets the highways requirements.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you want us to go off and draw up that specification and put it out, or do you want us to draw up a specification, bring it back to you to check, and then put it out? That's my first question.
I don't know.
Bring it
I
back to us to
I
check
did
on
that drawing in about 20 minutes. And if I had a bit more time, I could probably perfect it and make it look a lot more professional.
I think we need to agree the spec first.
Yeah.
So we bring it back, agree the spec.
I agree.
There's no rush for it.
No.
If it isn't completed in, have you got time to draw up a spec by June?
Don't know.
No.
I
I'll
don't
tell
know.
you
We're
what.
just going to have to. We'll put it into the workflow, and depending on some of the other committees and some of these things that you've decided tonight, then we can work out where we are. But at least we can present something back to the next meeting. We might not be entirely ready because we're going to be relying on National Highways coming back to us with some more stuff. So we'll aim for it, but you just have to
It's not
understand that it's
time-critical.
year end and we're having a massive audit across the whole organisation. So all our resources will go into that, into the annual general meeting, which is in May. Then we've got possibly we're looking at the horse show. then we're looking at D-Day, then I've got to organise fish and chips, and they've got all these other things. So let's kind of I just want to give you some expectation, okay? So what I think you're saying is then we'll go away and draft a specification to bring back to you as a committee to have a look at and see what you think, add in anything you want to, and when you're happy we'll decide who that specification goes to, or whether it goes out publicly or you give it to specific places, and then we'll set a deadline on when they must return their designs. And then you'll be presented with the project, like a procurement process, I suppose, and go from there. Does that sound reasonable?
But please, we're all aware that it's not time critical.
Yeah.
So no one's going to turn around and say, "Oh, we thought it'd be done by now."
Yeah.
It's a case of, okay, if it can't be done, it gets pushed forward a little bit. It gets pushed forward a little bit.
Yeah.
The most important thing to me is that if I've got the backing of this committee and the council, I will be over the moon.
Exactly.
You have, and I believe that we've got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Yeah.
I think we've covered it there.
Yeah, so is there anything else I need to know for now? No, that's fine. So let us do that. And if we don't present it back in June, there'll be really good reasons, which we'll explain to you. Because if other emergencies crop up between now and then, or I have any more staff, like annual leave or sickness, you've got to be prepared that it might not be ready.
Yeah.
But you've got to remember this community committee won't exist next municipal year because the full council have agreed, as we said on the agenda later, to create a communications and engagement committee. So there will be a restructure, so it will come back to this version of the new committee in June. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 17, Christmas lights. Just to note, the specifications were agreed at the last meeting and they are out for tender now, and no doubt there are people eyeing them up and down and putting their tenders together, their bids together for it. We know one individual that's particularly vocal about this, and no doubt once he's received the information that we've gone out for tender, he might be putting a bid in for it as well. Item 18, Youth Council. This is to receive the final recommendations from the working group. Have we got any? Yes, Councillor Winter.
There is no final recommendation, unfortunately. I think if I can speak on behalf of the working group, it's been a busy time. We all work full time, but we have finally got a date in mind. We're meeting next Thursday. In the afternoon, so we'll come up with some initial recommendations. So if it's okay with the committee, if we can keep that sort of on the agenda, just rolling until we do get some recommendations. But we've got a date in the diary, we've got a time, it's next Thursday, so the ball is rolling.
Okay, all right, all duly noted. Thank you very much. Item 19, and this is just a question I put forward, is to consider the council's presence in the Bexhill Horse Show and Bexhill 100 Motor Show. It is not for this year. This is not for this year because it's just be impossible to try and get that organised and get involved. But these are major events taking place in the town that I particularly felt we need to have a presence somehow or other. Now, what that presence consists of, whether it's just a group of councillors and the gazebo and just promotion of the town council, or whether it leads to other things.
Maybe an open surgery or something.
A big one?
Maybe an open surgery or something.
We could do that, yeah. We could do that. Yeah.
I think people would like that. Like the opportunity.
Nor what, just have a councillor surgery.
An open surgery, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
More or less what the annual town meeting is really, although.
Well, yes, but it's more accessible sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
If people are there with their families, and they can just pop off, and if they've got a question or a query,
Yeah.
it's just more accessible.
That is more or less what we did at the carnival last year.
And
Was
it
have the
worked very
gazebo,
well.
but it does need councillors' participation. We can't keep relying on the council staff to be there all the time.
I think we've got enough councillors that could come, even if we do it on a rota or something.
Exactly, and if we go forward looking at this in 2025, this is just our initial response to this idea. And if the committee sort of says, yeah, that's a good idea, then it's something we can develop at the next meeting in order to go forward and say, well, how are we going to structure that for these two events? So, is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, we go forward saying we will look into 2025
Yes.
these events. Councillor L, you okay with that?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Motions from councillors. There are no motions from councillors. Correspondence. There's no correspondence. Questions from councillors. That question has just been answered at item 19 there. So that leaves item 22B. Have any councillors got any questions to put forward for the next agenda item? Okay. One thing I would just like to probably ask a question, and that's, given the amount of events that are taking place and possibly taking place for participation of this council, are we at risk of stretching our staff too far? And would we need to look into the possibility of an events coordinator for all these
Yes.
things?
I think that's a very good idea.
It's not something we're going to discuss now, but it's something that for a future agenda
Yeah,
that we can discuss.
definitely.
Any other questions? No? Okay then. Just to note, full council decision to transfer terms of reference to a new committee, Engagement and Communications Committee, and that will be as of May. So this is the last of this committee meeting, and all the working jobs in the pipeline, so to speak, will go to Engagement and Communication Committee. So I declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.
Well done, Paul.